H. H. Holmes, born Herman Webster Mudgett in 1861 in Gilmanton, New Hampshire, was destined to become one of America's first documented serial killers. From an early age, he exhibited a fascination with death and the macabre, traits that would later define his infamous legacy. Growing up in a middle-class family, he was an intelligent child, excelling in school and displaying a particular aptitude for manipulation and deceit. His childhood was marked by a series of unsettling incidents, including a peculiar obsession with dissecting animals, a precursor to the horrors he would unleash upon the world. As he matured, Holmes pursued higher education, eventually enrolling in the University of Michigan's medical school. There, he honed his skills in surgery and medicine, but it was also where his darker inclinations began to surface. He was known to engage in unethical practices, including stealing cadavers for profit. This duality of his character, intelligent yet deeply disturbed, set the stage for his future endeavors. After graduating, he moved to Chicago, a bustling metropolis that would soon become the backdrop for his heinous acts. Holmes arrived in Chicago in the early 1880s, just as the city was recovering from the Great Fire of 1871. The fire had left a vast landscape of opportunity, with many buildings needing to be rebuilt. It was during this time that Holmes began to construct what would later be infamously known as the Murder Castle. This hotel, designed with a labyrinthine layout, was a structure of horror, equipped with secret passages, trapdoors, and soundproof rooms. It was a place where the unsuspecting could easily vanish, a sinister reflection of Holmes's twisted genius. The World's Columbian Exposition of 1893 was a pivotal moment in Holmes's life, providing him with a steady stream of victims. The fair attracted millions of visitors to Chicago, and Holmes capitalized on this influx. He lured young women, many of whom were seeking employment or adventure, to his hotel under the guise of offering them a place to stay. Once they entered his domain, they would often find themselves trapped in a nightmarish scenario. Holmes's charm and intelligence allowed him to manipulate those around him, making him a master of deception. As the fair progressed, the number of missing persons in Chicago began to rise. Families reported their daughters and loved ones gone without a trace, and the police were baffled by the sheer volume of disappearances. Holmes's hotel became a focal point of suspicion, but his cunning allowed him to evade capture time and time again. He was a man of many faces, presenting himself as a successful businessman and a reputable doctor, while hiding his true nature beneath layers of charisma and calculated cruelty. Holmes's methods were chillingly methodical. He would often lure his victims into a false sense of security, offering them employment or companionship, only to turn on them when they were most vulnerable. He had a particular penchant for using poison, but he was also known to resort to more direct methods of murder, including asphyxiation and dismemberment. His ability to dispose of bodies was equally disturbing. He utilized various techniques, including incineration and dissection, to ensure that no trace of his victims remained. The investigation into Holmes's crimes began to gain traction when a former associate, Benjamin Pitezel, became involved in a scheme that would ultimately lead to Holmes's downfall. Pitezel, a small-time con man, had been persuaded by Holmes to fake his own death in order to collect insurance money. However, the plan went awry, and Pitezel ended up dead, murdered by Holmes himself. This act would trigger a series of events that would finally expose Holmes's sinister activities. As authorities began to piece together the puzzle of Holmes's life, they discovered the horrific truth behind the disappearances. Investigators uncovered the remnants of his murder castle, where they found evidence of torture and death. The hotel's design, once a testament to Holmes's cunning, became a graveyard of secrets. The discovery of human remains within the walls sent shockwaves through Chicago and beyond, revealing the extent of Holmes's depravity. Holmes was arrested in 1894, and his trial became a sensational event, drawing national attention. The media frenzy surrounding the case painted him as a monster, a figure of nightmares who had evaded justice for far too long. As the trial unfolded, Holmes maintained his innocence, claiming that he was being framed. However, the evidence against him was overwhelming, and the testimonies of his surviving victims painted a chilling portrait of his character. The trial concluded with Holmes being found guilty of murder, and he was sentenced to death. In the years leading up to his execution, he continued to play the role of the charmer, even attempting to sell his life story to the highest bidder. His ego and arrogance were on full display, as he believed he could manipulate the narrative even in the face of his impending doom. On May 7, 1896, H. H. Holmes was executed by hanging. His last words were reportedly an expression of concern for his eternal soul, a final twist of irony for a man who had shown little regard for the lives he had taken. After his death, Holmes's legacy continued to haunt the American psyche. His story inspired countless books, films, and documentaries, each attempting to unravel the enigma of a man who embodied the darkest aspects of human nature. In the years since his execution, Holmes has become a figure of fascination, a symbol of the duality of man, the potential for brilliance intertwined with the capacity for evil. His life serves as a cautionary tale, a reminder of the thin veneer that separates civility from chaos. The murder castle, once a monument to his depravity, has become a ghostly reminder of the horrors that can lurk behind the facade of normalcy. Holmes's story is not just one of murder. It is a narrative steeped in the complexities of human psychology and the societal conditions that allowed such a monster to thrive. His ability to manipulate those around him, to charm and deceive, speaks to the darker corners of the human experience. As we reflect on his life, we are confronted with unsettling questions about the nature of evil and the capacity within us all to harbor darkness. The legacy of H. H. Holmes endures, transcending the boundaries of time and culture. He remains a figure of intrigue, a reminder of the horrors that can arise from unchecked ambition and moral depravity. In a world where the line between good and evil can often blur, Holmes's life serves as a chilling testament to the potential for darkness that resides in us all.